Big Fani's office may have crossed some ethical boundaries. Nobody's really surprised about that. But we know that one of the co-defendants, named David Shafer, says that yesterday I received an 8-page solicitation from Wade and Campbell, the law firm. That's these guys. You see, this is an advert that they got in the mail from this guy. Nathan Wade, pictured on the cover, is the Trump special prosecutor appointed by Big Fani Willis. So David Shafer is a co-defendant. He's been charged with a crime by Big Fani Willis, and he's getting a solicitation for representation from a criminal defense lawyer who is selected as the special prosecutor for Big Fani. We've got a conflict of interest here. So Shafer says, we have notified the judge and we've moved for an immediate hearing. And he's just one of 19 other co-defendants. And this is what he actually posted on Twitter, just sending solicitations in. Here's what the full thing looks like. It says Atlanta Criminal Defense, right? So these guys by trade are criminal defense lawyers, but because Big Fani needed to go get a special prosecutor, somebody outside of her office, she went and found somebody else. And I don't know, if these guys are friends or whatever, how that worked, but she brought this guy in, but he's only a special prosecutor in this one case, which I just find, detestable, quite frankly. You're going to be a practicing criminal defense lawyer and you're going to be representing people on the defense perspective and then suddenly just prosecuting some people? Maybe only because it's Trump, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. But here, this is what the full letter looks like. And when I was running a law firm, we used to send out adverts, okay? We used to send stuff like this out to people because what ends up happening is you get booking lists, you get arrest lists, you get indictment lists. They all show up on the public record, and then you can scrape those lists, and there are companies that will take the names, they'll match them with the addresses, and you can send them advertising material. And that's exactly what happened here. Now, this looks like a good one because they actually have his name on it, and they actually printed the charge on it, okay? So they do this at scale. So they'll just print this out. Let's say you get 1,000 people, and they're all charged with crimes. They will all get a letter like this, right? And they'll say, Robert Gouveia, urinating in public, whatever, And so you'll have something like that goes out to everybody. It's so that people will call you and hire you. But if you're the special counsel and you're prosecuting somebody, you don't want to send them an advert. And so David Shafer is saying, yeah, we got that one directly. He said, no, the firm solicited me as a client. It's an obvious conflict of interest. We've notified the judge and we've moved for an immediate hearing on this matter because it's not something that you're supposed to be doing. And if these people are so competent and capable and they are so incredible in their litigation, why are they acting in such an amateurish fashion? Said this guy, Phil Holloway, another lawyer, town hall columnist, legal analyst, and he is saying this may be the biggest embarrassment ever for Big Fani Willis, the Fulton County DA. The private law firm of special prosecutor in the Trump case sends criminal defense solicitation to co-defendant David Shafer, offering to defend him in the charge of personating a public officer, the same charge that he is prosecuting. Oops. So here is what it actually looks like. Okay, so Shafer posted all of this stuff on the internet. So they sent him a letter, and it says here, open immediately, do not discard. You see here, down here in the bottom left, there are rules for attorneys. You got to print something like this. In Arizona, this is actually very small. Ours would be much bigger. It would say advertising material, big red, huge. But this would say Wade and Campbell firm. They sent this letter over to him, and there it is. Atlanta Criminal Defense, David Shafer, impersonating a public officer. Got the charge listed there and everything. They say David Shafer regarding impersonating a public officer. Attorneys Wade and Campbell, Wade is the special prosecutor for Big Fani, dedicate their criminal practice to protecting the rights of any and every individual charged with a misdemeanor, felony, DUI, or traffic offense. We will walk clients through the process and carefully evaluate all possibilities while keeping your family, career, and reputation under consideration. Our lawyers have an abundance of experience handling cases in the state and local courts of Metro Atlanta. And here's the final page. You see right there, Nathan J. Wade. Right there on the page. Our core purpose is to create partnerships that provide clients with peace of mind. Wade and Campbell provides expert advice and zealous representation. In all of our transactions, one variable remains the same: a commitment to respecting and understanding our client's best interest, blah, blah, blah. Please contact us today to discuss your criminal case. Wade and Campbell, that's the phone number. This is very curious. They are soliciting the people that they're prosecuting. Obviously, that's a little bit a problem here. And the way this works, right, this is all, I would guess, just automated. So they didn't have any fail-safes in place to make sure that these people didn't get their solicitation. But they're still responsible for that. You can't just say, oops, it's my name, my license, my practice, but I'm not responsible for some other company that's not filtering the names. And we would definitely do that. We'd filter out names and make sure we weren't sending them to the inappropriate people. But we also were never special counsels or anything like that, so we didn't have those inherent conflicts when we were practicing. But this is the issue, and now they have filed a motion for a hearing and to determine sanctions, including saying maybe he should be disqualified for violating his ethical obligations. And now this is an interesting thing. I'm almost curious, what if David had actually called them and hired them, which may have been the smarter play. Just gave them a call, said, hey, I got this advertisement from you guys. Sounds like a great representation. I'd like to hire you over the phone. Can I do that? Yeah, just send me a fee agreement. Let me sign it and just see what happens. See if they ever check, right? Because they might have a conflict check after the consultation. Once they get the name, the case number, all of the info, like this is just spray and pray. Okay. They're just sending adverts out to everybody. But what if Shafer just called him and hired him? Just say, yeah, sure. Sounds great. Yeah, I'd love to work with you. Send me a fee agreement. How much? 10 grand? No problem. Send that payment right over to you. And then he can say, oh, guess what? There's no conflict checks going on here. There's nothing happening here at all. These people don't have any idea what they're doing. It's completely unethical. But that has not happened. Instead, they have filed a motion and they're requesting a hearing on this case. And here's what it sounds like. This got filed out of Fulton County Superior Court. This is Big Fani's courtroom. And this is one co-defendant asking for an evidentiary hearing about the improper contact by Fani's special prosecutor's law firm. Shafer says, Your Honor, the court now respectfully requests an evidentiary hearing because we had direct, uninvited, improper communications by Nathan Wade's law firm. And we want the court to determine the appropriate sanction for this conduct, ranging from just a simple admonishment, just, get your systems better in order, to disqualification from the case, which I think is probably, very unlikely, but you got to ask for it. More than a year prior to obtaining this indictment, Wade was appointed by Big Fani's office to the team. These people were investigating this for a while. The Willis team, according to one article, which was led by Nathan Wade, a private lawyer and a friend of Willis's. Now, there it is. So she's just given him the contract. Special Prosecutor Wade and his law partner, Mr. Campbell, they operate the firm Wade and Campbell, which represents that they are criminal defense law firm. On August 14th, there was an indictment. Weeks after the indictment, the DA hopped on the television and announced it. After that happened, Wade's law firm, the actual prosecutor, sent a communication, which we've already seen, to his home address, and he got on September 6th. His partner said, Shafer, you're impersonating a public officer, and that they're going to walk us through the process. Enclosed is a full copy of the solicitation impersonating a public officer, and it says, please contact us to discuss your criminal case. And, there are a lot of rules about this. Like, I know this might sound like, okay, who cares? They sent them a flyer or something. They just sent a lawyer, a defendant a flyer. Big deal. It is a big deal. Like, there are rules about this. Lawyers bend over backwards to make sure they don't dump on these rules, because if you send stuff to the wrong people or if you don't notify them, it's an advertisement thing. Like, this could really freak people out. Imagine if you're somebody who gets one of these, and I've had this situation pop up. Like, you send a letter to somebody who's not actually charged with a crime. You get the addresses crossed or the names crossed. David Smith gets prosecuted and somebody gets a letter who's not actually been charged with the crime, and they say, you've been charged with murder, David. Oh, I have? What? They freak out, obviously. They think they've got identity theft and all sorts of stuff. So you've got to be very, careful about this. You can't use your pressure as a government prosecutor or as a defense attorney or as a lawyer to put undue pressure on innocent people in society. And David Shafer might be a sophisticated person, but what if he's not? What if he says, oh my gosh, I'm being prosecuted and I don't have a lawyer, and now this business partner of the prosecutor is contacting me. Maybe maybe I have to hire him because otherwise his business partner is prosecuting. I don't know what to do. Maybe I need to hire them and give them my life savings, and then they'll get me out of this deal. So it could be a very serious conflict where, like, it's a shakedown for money, if you want to put it in the worst light possible. So he says at the time of writing this letter, the public here reflected the public record. Oh, this is even worse. That the undersigned attorneys had entered an appearance in this action on August. Okay. So they sent a notice to a represented person. Oof, that's not good. Thus, Ms. Shafer was represented by counsel at the time of the unsolicited communication. Now, and that's a long time after, right? Because they sent this letter in, presumably like September something. So they at least had lawyers for a week or so. Special counsel's Wade's law firm's communication was as represented by counsel is a violation of anti-contact provisions of the rules, but the improper communication here is far more egregious than the typical violation. It's a communication literally directly with a criminal defendant by a lead prosecuting attorney's law firm about charges that attorney has been responsible for bringing. They say the harassing, the mocking, the intimidating nature of the communication causes injury, saying there is no appearance of fairness or propriety in this proceeding. Wade is shown smiling on the cover of the proposal, and Shafer's name is printed on it. The prosecutor is sending him smiling solicitations, and they praise the firm's zealous representation. It's like a slap in the face, stating that their purpose is to provide clients with peace of mind. What? He's being prosecuted by you, and urge Shafer to contact the firm to protect his family, his career, and his reputation, which is language that defense attorneys use. Don't let prosecutors wreck everything, which is why we always say pure blood prosecution. There are pure blood prosecutors, pure blood defense attorneys, and of course you know what side of the aisle I'm on. But these people who just bounce around from side to side, like I'll be a defense attorney on Mondays and then go prosecute people on Tuesdays, or the people who are prosecutors for 10 years, then they get their student loans paid for, then they say, now I'm going to go advocate for the Constitution and criminal defense rights. And then they become these criminal defense lawyers. It's like, you guys are laughable. You've got no values. Give me a break. It kind of reminds me of that. Like this guy will sit here and say, we're going to protect your family, your career, and your reputation against these overactive prosecutors, blah, blah, blah. Then he turns around and goes and acts as a prosecutor. It's like, what? But they did it. So he says, surely these lawyers, these defense attorneys, so-called, do not believe that Wade and Campbell could represent him against the very criminal charges brought by Wade himself, which again, I think he should have hired them. He should have just called and said, I'd like to hire you over the phone. You take a credit card over the phone, I almost guarantee they would have done it, okay? Because that's what law firms do. Pursuant to its power to control the conduct, therefore, Your Honor, the court should hold an evidentiary hearing and inquire about what the prosecutor's law firm did and sanction them as appropriate. Hold an evidentiary hearing to investigate this and determine the appropriate sanction for this illegal conduct. Signed by Craig Gillen from Georgia, counsel for David Shafer. Good stuff. All being copied over to everybody involved. It looks like they're copying, man, all the co-defendants and the lawyers, Nathan Wade, special counsel's office, it looks like. So yeah, here is the actual copies of the documents. You can see here's the full panel. Christopher Campbell, attorney at law. Do they have a profile for Nathan Wade? So it's like a brochure. Yeah, they're just shipping in a brochure. This is where they're located. Looks like a nice brochure. We had a brochure that we sent out. Yeah, it looks nice. But we never prosecuted people and then sent them a brochure saying, hey, we're prosecuting you and we can help. So major conflict of interest, obviously unethical, total amateur hour, but it's about what you'd expect out from the special prosecutor's office. This is Big Fani's team.